Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Eye. In this series, episode 4 of the Intel Cartel, The Black Ledger. You've now seen the architecture, the paperclip routes, Five Eyes wires, and the compromat machine. You've watched the silicon veil descend, turning your devices into cartel informants. Today we descend further, into the money, because no empire runs on ideology alone. It runs on black budgets, offshore cutouts, and a shadow economy so vast it makes every elected government look like a petty cash drawer. This is the financial firewall that keeps the cartel alive no matter who sits in the White House. This episode 4, The Black Ledger. Let's follow the money where it refuses to be followed. It begins, like everything else, in the ruins of World War II. The National Security Act of 1947 didn't just create the CIA. It created the legal gray zone for unvouchered funds. Congress could appropriate money, but a secret annex allowed the agency to spend without receipts, without audits, without questions. By the 1950s, those black budgets were already in the hundreds of millions, laundered through shell foundations, dummy corporations, and friendly banks in Switzerland and Liechtenstein. The cartel learned early. The best way to fund operations that Congress would never approve is to make sure Congress never sees the ledger. Iran-Contra was the public coming out party, 1980s. Sell missiles to Iran despite an embargo. Funnel the profits to death squads in Nicaragua despite a congressional ban. When it blew up, the official story was rogue agents. The real story was the template. Use the drug trade, arms pipelines, and offshore banks as permanent off-books revenue streams. Cocaine from Colombia and heroin from Afghanistan didn't just appear in American cities. They were tolerated, sometimes protected, because a percentage always flowed back into black accounts. The same networks that moved money from the Contras later moved it for the Mujahideen, then the Taliban enemies, then whoever the cartel needed next. The drug war was never about drugs. It was about funding the machine without fingerprints. Fast forward to the post-9/11 gold rush. Black budgets exploded. Official figures today hover around $100 billion a year just for the U.S. intelligence community, more than the entire defense budgets of most NATO countries combined. But that's the visible tip, and the supplemental overseas contingency operations, the classified annexes, the contractor slush funds, and analysts who track these flows put the true annual number north of $200 billion. Over the last 25 years? Trillions. And here's the kicker. No president, no oversight committee, no GAO audit has ever seen the full ledger. When Snowden leaked the PRISM slides, he also exposed the financial reality. Intelligence agencies pay tech giants billions in no-bid contracts, and those companies kick back data and lobbying muscle. The cartel doesn't beg for money, it prints its own in the dark. The offshore cutouts are the arteries. Panama Papers, Paradise Papers, Pandora Papers. Every leak names the same constellation. Shell companies in the Caymans, Delaware, Luxembourg, and the British Virgin Islands. Many trace back to known CIA cutouts or their private sector cousins. The Carlyle Group, private equity giant, former home to the George H.W. Bush and defense secretaries, invests in the very contractors that feed off black budgets. Halliburton, under Dick Cheney, built entire cities in Iraq, while its subsidiaries laundered reconstruction funds through offshore accounts. Jeffrey Epstein's own financial empire, his hedge fund, his philanthropy, his mysterious Virgin Islands accounts, was just personal enrichment. Flight logs and court files show intelligence-adjacent figures circling the money. When he needed liquidity, the taps stayed open. When he became a liability, the cartel closed the accounts and the man. And then came crypto, the cartel's newest ledger experiment. Bitcoin's white paper drops in 2008. Right after the financial crash the intelligence community helped steer. Satoshi Nakamoto, still a ghost. But the pattern is unmistakable. Early adopters included cyberpunks with documented agency ties. The NSA had been patenting cryptographic tech for decades. By the 2020s, the cartel had flipped the script. Instead of fighting crypto, they regulated it into submission. Stablecoins backed by the same offshore banks. exchanges that quietly partner with FinCEN and the NSA for transaction monitoring. Palantir's platforms now track blockchain flows in real time for the cartel. The dream was decentralized money. The reality is the most surveilled financial system ever built, because every wallet, every transaction, every mixer can be mapped by the same AI that runs Gotham. The cartel didn't kill crypto, it colonized it. Who really pays? You do. Every tax dollar, every inflation point, every defense appropriation that balloons because of national security, but who profits? The same closed loop we've been mapping since episode 2. Defense and intelligence contractors, Lockheed, Raytheon, Booz Allen Hamilton, DynCorp, post record earnings year after year while delivering cost overruns and failed systems. Revolving door executives move from Langley to boardrooms and back. Think tanks funded by the same money publish white papers demanding more spending. Private equity firms like Blackstone and KKR swallow the contractors whole, then spin off pieces into new shells. The Epstein network showed the personal version, elite parties, private jets, and offshore trusts all lubricated by the same black money. This is why the cartel survives every reform. Black budgets are recession-proof. Offshore cutouts are jurisdiction-proof. Crypto experiments are future-proof. When a president like Kennedy threatens to audit or splinter the agency, the money machine simply tightens the noose. When a financier like Epstein knows where the bodies and the accounts are buried, the ledger balances itself with a broken neck in a jail cell. The Black Ledger isn't a conspiracy. It's the cartel's immune system. It turns sunlight into profit, scandal into new contracts, and exposure into higher walls. Presidents campaign on draining the swamp. The swamp just invoices them for the dredging equipment. In episode 5, we'll map the final layer, the human one. The bloodlines, the secret societies, the transnational families and foundations that sit above the agencies, above the tech, above even the money. The names that never appear on any org chart, but decide which wars happen and which truths never see daylight. Until then, check your bank app, check your 401k, check the defense stocks quietly climbing while the rest of the economy staggers. The ledger is there. It's just written in invisible ink. This has been The Eye, episode 4 of the Intel Cartel. If the money trail just got clearer, share it. The cartel hates nothing more than eyes on the ledger. We'll see you in the vaults. Until next time, this has been The Eye. God bless you, and God bless America.